You're not gonna like this, but a lot of advice you're getting from Dubai real estate agents is wrong. We just finished analyzing over 200,000 Dubai real estate transactions, and you might be surprised by what we discovered. Today, I'll share how much money investors really make when they sell on handover, which developers generate the highest returns, and where mistakes are made that can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Starting with the topic surrounded by lots of lies. Appreciation during construction. Every time an agent or a developer sales rep tells me the property will grow in value during construction by 45%, I ask them one simple question. Why? And I don't remember the last time I was satisfied with their answer. So, I decided it's time to do all the hard work for you. So what my team did was go through all of the planned properties sold since 2020 and individually track their value growth. Now we know how much each of them increased in price before being sold on handover. Can you guess what the market average for apartments was? Four options are on your screen: 14.7%, 25.2%, 37.1%, and 45.8%. And the answer is 14.7%. That's the average apartment value growth during construction. But if you thought it's 45.8%, then you could be right, because there is a property type that generated such massive growth just during construction. I'll tell you about it a bit later. So the big question is, how do you get more than 14.7%? Doesn't come down to the right developer, area, number of units, or something else. Let's address all of them one by one. First, which developers showed the highest appreciation during construction. In a moment, I'll show you a list of 15 big developers with their results. We filtered out all those who delivered fewer than 2 projects in the last 5 years. And now we have 3 categories: those that grew faster than the market, slower than the market, and those that lost value. The list of champions includes Miraz, Nishama, Imtiaz, Iman, Bingadi, Imar, Select Group, Ellington, and Maidan. All of them are great in their own way, so I think there are no surprises here. Then we have those who showed growth lower than average. Here we have Reportage, Townex, Samana, Shoba, and Tiger. 4 out of 5 make total sense. But I bet some of you are surprised that Shoba is in this category. So let me elaborate a bit. Shoba delivers great build quality, their properties and communities are loved by residents, but their apartments are not priced cheap, and because of the pricing, the room for value appreciation in the short term is limited. At the same time, if you plan to live there, that's a great choice. And if you want to rent the property out, it might generate a decent yield. And finally, the third group. Developers whose properties decreased in value. There could be a longer list of random developers with just one project in their portfolio, but the most interesting case is this one at the bottom of the table. Their apartments lost in value 5% during construction. I'll keep their name blurred not to upset anyone, but it's a pretty big developer. The issue with them is that their size works against their property's growth. They build a lot of similar units, dozens of identical buildings with hundreds of identical studios and 1 baths. And the quality is not that good. These statistics on developers' performance are particularly useful if you're planning to invest in Dubai real estate. But we took it even further and used this and many other data points to develop a software that allows you to run an investment case analysis for any property in Dubai. It's called ROI Forecaster, and it was meant to be purely an internal tool, but I decided to share it with our audience. With this tool, you can fill in all the basic information about the property, select your investment horizon, and get a yearly cash flow breakdown and an estimation of key investment metrics like IRR, NPV, cash-on-cash returns, and ROI, of course. I give it away for free, so to get it now, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Also, someone from my team will send you our insider report with data-driven analysis of the 10 best areas, 10 best developers, and 20 best projects to invest in Dubai real estate right now. This toolkit is available for both brokers and investors, so feel free to use it and let us know what you think. Okay, so we discussed the developers, and the next question should be which areas showed the highest appreciation during construction. I'll ask my team to put the full list on the screen. These are apartment areas only. We'll get to villas soon, but with this list, I'd be very careful before jumping to any conclusions. In many cases, the results of the area were driven by the developers and specific projects that were built there. You can really judge the area's performance only when there are many projects there, like in Business Bay, JVC, Al Forjan, and a couple of others. Otherwise, the numbers are statistically insignificant. So instead of digging into this, I suggest we take a look at another piece of data. It's about how a number of units in a project affects its growth. And the surprising, absolutely counterintuitive conclusion is that the higher number of units the higher the growth. This doesn't make any sense, right? Because a lower number of units means higher uniqueness and lower competition. Logically, this should lead to a better supply and demand balance and therefore better growth. However, the issue is that most of the buildings with a low number of units are built by weaker developers. When they're not that strong financially and don't have a powerful brand, they can quickly sell and build a large-scale project. So they launch small buildings. On the other hand, big, strong developers normally build at a larger scale and deliver more units, but their units are better, so they grow faster. And of course, when a strong developer builds a boutique building, they also perform well. So the main conclusion you should draw from all this analysis is that if you're investing in an apartment, make your decision based on the developer. This is by far the most important factor predicting your chances of outperforming the market. Okay, all that we just discussed was about apartments. And before we get to the controversial topic of what's performing better, off-plan or secondary, I want to cover another property type, villas and townhouses. And this is the property I was referring to in the beginning. An average villa gained around 45% in value over the construction period. Now let's look at the breakdown based on the developer. Pay attention to three things. Number 1. Prominent developers deliver higher growth. That's quite expected. Number 2. An average small, not really known developer delivered a 31% growth during the construction period. That's double the average apartment growth, and even higher compared to apartments delivered by top-tier developers. This illustrates the power of houses as a segment. For the last 5 years, it was hard to fail if you're investing in a villa. And this brings us to point number 3. Still, a couple of known developers managed to deliver units that almost didn't grow or even declined in value. Here everything is pretty straightforward. The houses themselves were just not that good. Non-practical layouts with small rooms, no kitchen space, and questionable build quality makes these houses just not suitable for their target users. By the way, when we take the number of units breakdown, we see the same trend as in apartments. Stronger developers build bigger villa and townhouse communities and eventually deliver stronger performance. Okay, now I want to cover a topic that concerns long-term investors. The period since 2020, the period of massive growth, was largely affected by COVID. So, to see a bigger picture, let's take a look at the last 8 years, which include all market phases: stagnation, decline, and rapid growth. This should help resolve a long-lasting argument between investors and brokers with different views. The origin of the argument comes from off-plan properties being priced higher than ready ones. So some people think it's crazy, because off-plan properties are not built yet, so you don't know what you'll eventually get, and you also don't make any money from rent. But others say it makes total sense, because off-plan properties are newer, so when they're built they'll be much better than the current ones, and therefore priced higher. This is the case now in 2025, and it was also the case 8 years ago. Okay, let data solve the argument. An average Dubai apartment sold at the off-plan stage 8 years ago is now priced 31% higher. This means that since 2017 the unit was built, then went to the market, was resold one or several times, and the latest transactions made in 2025 were completed at prices 31% higher than the original off-plan price 8 years ago. An average ready-to-buy apartment bought 8 years ago is now priced 5% higher. So if you bought something on the secondary market in 2017, you could now resell it at just 5% higher price. We see the same trend on the developer level. For example, Ready AMR apartments grew in value by 15% since 2017, while off-plan apartments by AMR gained 51% in value over the same period. So purely from a value appreciation perspective, off-plan properties outperformed the ready ones. But while off-plan properties were under construction, an average for around 2.5 years, ready properties were generating rental income. So to compensate for the slower growth, they should have been bringing their owners around a 10% rental yield. That's achievable for an excellent property, but that's a lot for an average one. And after the property is completed, newer ones tend to have higher rental rates. Alright, these insights for sure should help you make a more informed investment decision. But that's just the tip of an iceberg. And if you want to use the full power of data to make a successful real estate investment in Dubai, get a free consultation with us. And after scheduling the consultation, learn how to get a special status with Dubai developers and get access to units and financial terms not available to regular buyers. The video is right here.